The start of this season raised a lot of questions, but over the last few weeks we've started answering them. Now it was time to find out if we could be Europe's best. Welcome back to the Sir Alex Ferguson Aberdeen Challenge here on Super Sammy Plays. After picking up a couple of big wins in Europe in the last episode, we've got two even bigger matches coming up in this one. First up, we've got a trip to Italy as we go to play AC Milan for a huge tie at home against the team that knocked us out of the Champions League last season, Manchester City. So two huge tests, but certainly a couple of games that we're capable of winning. We do also have the League Cup final coming up in this one, so another chance to bring home some more silverware to Pittodrie. So let's get into it. And the first match of this episode is going to be away at the San Siro as we play AC Milan. And Kolo Muani nearly giving them the perfect start as he hits the post. And then 20 minutes later, Sarifi plays it out to the right with Hernandez, who plays a wonderful ball in behind to find Moise Kean, who shoots across goal and gives us a 1-goal lead. And then just before half-time, Francolino going past the defenders with ease, dinking it over the keeper and getting Milan back level. But 10 minutes into the second half, we managed to restore our lead as Profundi gets it out wide to Sarifi, gets it back, and a great finish from him, an absolute wonder strike to put us 2-1 up, and certainly a goal worth watching again as he gets it back from Sarifi and bending away from the goalkeeper. I mean, maybe the goalkeeper should have done better there, but still great strike nonetheless. And then Can Uzun, 66th minute, Hernandez pulling it back to Carlos Alexander, and he shoots all the way across goal as we take a 3-1 lead. And then 8 minutes later, we go looking for another one. Very dangerous from corners this season and nearly scoring again there before Profundi pulling it back to our centre-back Sarifi, and he shoots just over. And then a couple of minutes later, Moise Kean getting free down the right but shooting all the way across goal. We didn't have it all our own way in the second half though, as Milan do pull another one back with a goal from Buldanzi, making it 3-2. But then we quickly restored our 2-goal lead as Profundi goes free down the right, crosses it to the far post, Robinson heads it back in and Moise Kean wraps it up as we go on to beat Milan 4-2. So Moise Kean getting the plaudits from that one, certainly impressive, scoring a couple of goals. Very nice to see. He enjoyed his trip back to Italy, obviously used to play for Fiorentina. And just the 2 goals in the Champions League this season, just the 1 in the league. So hopefully he can start scoring when he gets more chances. Pretty tight for game time between all the strikers that we have. And Can Uzun now on 2 goals and 6 assists. So maybe not the most goals in the world, but 6 assists is certainly not bad. And Jimenez certainly making his feelings known to the media, letting them know that he wants to leave Aberdeen. Next up, we welcome Celtic for a huge league match, and what a start they got off to in this one with Jamie Bono Gittins crossing to the far post and Gilberto Moura slamming it into the back of the net to give Celtic a 1-goal lead inside the opening 20 seconds. But their lead wasn't for long as our corner gets cleared to the edge of the box, comes back to Silva and Hernandez. His deflected effort finding Michael Funk, and we get back level inside the opening 3 minutes. And then 15 minutes later, Gilberto Moura involved again with a lovely ball over the top to Abdel Karim and a great finish from him to make it 2-1. And then no more real chances until this one in the second half, and Abdel Karim fires it across to Spursizan as he puts Celtic 3-1 up. 66th minute, Can Uzun with a lovely through ball to find Semi and a lovely finish into the near post to make it 3-2. But unfortunately, it wasn't enough and we didn't manage to get any more as we lose 3-2. So, not an ideal result, but we quickly had another chance to get back to winning ways as we played Dundee United in this one, and certainly not the start we were looking for, as it took 49 minutes for us to have a real chance in this one. Joe Gomez getting it back and smashing it into the back of the net, beating the goalkeeper to make it 1-0. And then 2 minutes later, Buchanan with a great cross to the far post, and Carlton Evans fires into the back of the net on the volley to make it 1-1. And then a real chance for Dundee United to take the lead here, as Sapsford gets brought down by Caicedo, just back on his return from suspension from that red card, and Idowu with the penalty, saved by Pierce Charles. So, didn't make that one count. And then you know what happens after that. Profundi puts it into the top of the net, making it 2-1 in the 73rd minute. And then just 90 seconds later, Pierce Charles absolutely launches it. Semi wins the flick on. Profundi brings it down, goes past the defender and smashes it in the back of the net to make it 3. And I think that's 3 times now in the last couple of episodes, we've seen Pierce Scholes' long kicks resulting in a goal. And then Jay Robinson wraps it up in the 78th minute, making it 4-1. The lovely finish past the goalkeeper, getting another assist for our youngster, Finlay Marshall. So Pittodrie certainly at his best in that one, as he scores a couple of goals on his way to beating Dundee United 4-1. And I did go ahead and actually make a few more tactical tweaks to more like player roles and instructions and stuff. I have sped this up, so you can slow it down or pause it if you want to actually see what I've been doing. But mainly, I just made the left winger and the right winger, I made them mark specifically the right back and the left back to give us a bit more defensive security without the ball, as we seem to be conceding quite easily. So, yeah, a couple of changes there, and we'll see how we get on. Not too far away from pretty much dominating everyone at the moment. And the goalkeeper, Besnik Shahaj, is going to be signing in January, so at least that is a position we have sorted. And next up, a massive chance for revenge in this one as we welcome Manchester City to Pittodrie. And we get off to the perfect start in this one as Pittodrie gets fouled by Zagadou, winning us a penalty in 17 minutes. And Can Uzun on penalty duty now after João Gomez missed, and he makes no mistake, making it 1-0. And then just before half-time, Ruben Diaz playing into Rodri, a lovely ball over the top to Elise, and his first-time cross finding Keenan Yildiz at the far post, who levels the game up. Inside the second half, Manchester City go looking to put themselves in front, and Szoboszlai, of all people, finding Haaland, who rounds the goalkeeper, puts it into the back of the net. But you can see from the players' complaints, they were calling for offside, and thankfully for us, VAR agreed and ruled the goal out. And then just 4 minutes later, Can Uzun down the right, showing his quality with a lovely bit of skill there, pulling it back to Hernandez for a 1-2, and then Can going all the way, lays it off to Pittodrie, and then the most scrappiest of goals is turned in by Semi Kilitsoi as we go 2-1 up. And then Can Uzun getting free, putting it past the goalkeeper Donnarumma as we go 3-1 up. Quick fire double from us. And 5 minutes later, Man City thought they'd pulled another goal back again. Haaland involved again, shockingly, as he plays a 1-2, pulling it into the middle for Keith Smith to put in the back of the net. But you might have noticed in the build-up to that one, as the ball came back to Haaland, he was in an offside position, and this will show it in the replay. Quite clearly offside, and the goal was ruled out. So 3-1 up with just a couple of minutes left. You'd have thought that was pretty much it, but Can Uzun finding Semi, who lays it off for Michael Funk, who shoots on his weak foot and makes it 4-1. You'd think at this point we were absolutely safe, completely safe, with a 3-goal lead, but Szoboszlai finds Erling Haaland literally from the kickoff to make it 4-2, and then a couple of minutes later, the cross coming in, cleared to Keith Schmidt, who goes back to Ryan Cherky, who runs all the way through and scores past the goalkeeper to make it 4-3. So, pretty nervy last few seconds, but we do hold on to take the 3 points. You might have noticed from the highlights in that one, Can Uzun was certainly involved in a few of those goals, and he has been showing his form more and more recently. And yeah, he gets the plaudits from that one as we go on to beat Man City 4-3. Very, very good performance from him, and good signs early on in his career with Aberdeen. And more of these messages about Jimenez, but unfortunately, we can't get rid of him at the moment. I did speak to his agent and see if anybody would make a bid, but unfortunately, he doesn't think so at the moment. So maybe when January transfer window opens, we'll be able to actually sell him then. And yeah, then he'll be able to go and get some more game time. But on a more positive note, Diakate showing pleasing progress. You can see all those upwards arrows. He is certainly developing nice, and his transfer value is actually shot back up to 46 to 57 million, which is quite funny because I'm sure it was only about 20 million when he signed for us. So next up, we had the League Cup final against St Johnstone, which starts the mark of a run of 3 games against St Johnstone in a row. And what a shot that was early on, pulling the save from Whitworth. And then Caicedo hitting the post from the corner in the first half. So, a couple of chances in the first half, but unfortunately didn't go our way. But into the second, 15 minutes in, the youngster Finlay Marshall putting home Hernandez's cross to make it 1-0. And then right at the death, as I was making some substitutions, you will see from the flashing lights at the bottom, we had scored another goal. Michael Funk getting it out on the left, going past his man and shooting all the way across goal into the bottom corner as we go on to win 2-0 and take home the League Cup trophy, or the Premier Sports Trophy, as it's better known in Scotland, for the second year running. I think actually it's 5th time overall. So very nice to see, but not our main priority in this save. So the board are obviously happy with the title win, or the cup win rather. And yeah, the RB hailing me a true legend. Nice to see after probably leaving on salty terms after I kind of just sold him without really giving him any chance to stay. He's still quite fond of us, which is nice to see. Jimenez, as well, has picked up an injury, so he's been obviously desperate for more game time, and with a fractured lower arm, well, it's a shame he's not going to be playing anytime soon with that, so a bit of a shame for him, and I'm not sure how that's going to affect our ability to sell him in the January transfer window, but yeah, he'll be out for a little while with that. And yeah, another player that actually impressed in that last game, another one of the youngsters. I played a few youngsters in that game, you might have obviously noticed, with Finney Marshall. Well, we've got this guy, Robbie Wilson, at the club, who is through the youth system. Very nice physical stats, still for a 17-year-old. Fairly professional personality, is pretty good. And 3 decent stats in the technicals, in heading, marking and tackling. So let's hope he can progress nicely, and maybe he will end up in the first team in not too distant future. We do also have another issue with Martin Wernblatt. He's not getting the game time that he wants at the moment. And yeah, I probably didn't handle this one the best. I pretty much brushed it off and just treated him like he was sort of not really important player, and say that you should just accept being a squad player. And obviously he wasn't too happy with that one. So we'll see what happens with that further down the line. And some more positive developments for Milivoje Sharifi, who we signed in the summer. Now valued at 19 to 25 million, which is not too bad considering we only paid 6 for him, but he is making progress, which is very nice to see. So, the second of our 3 games against St Johnstone, this time in the league. And we get off to a lovely start in this one. 18 minutes in, it didn't take quite as long as the cup match. As a wonder strike there from Jay Robinson, bending it into the far corner. Certainly a goal I wanted to see again, as he gets it on his right foot and finesses it straight into that top bin. Right on the stroke of half-time, Pittodrie getting onto an Andres Hernandez over the top ball, and he puts it into the back of the net to make it 2. Before the 66th minute, gets cleared to the edge of the box. João Gomes puts it back in. Robinson lays it off, and Pittodrie fires it into the back of the net to make it 3-0. And then right at the death, we looked like we'd scored another as Prank Pelage finds Michael Funk and he shoots into the bottom corner. But unfortunately, it was ruled out for offside. So we do only win the game 3-0. And this is quite funny, but Jimenez now happy to stay at Aberdeen. I can only assume that is because of the injury. And Semi is also 1 appearance away from a clause in his contract, meaning we will have to pay Besiktas 5 million. Part of the deal we made to bring him here, and he's certainly doing well for us this season. Robinson also on form. Another player that we brought in last season has been doing very well, scoring goals for fun. Loves an absolute worldie, by the way. And they'll have another chance for it as we play St Johnstone away from home in the league this time, but our 3rd match against them in as many matches. And just like the last 2, we get off to a goal-scoring start with Simon Pittodrie putting us 1-0 up, getting Can Uzun another assist. And then Can Uzun involved again as he turns, pulls it back to Ofer Levi. He finds Hernandez with a first-time cross to Jay Robinson. Then 4 minutes later, Levo goes looking for Can Uzun. It ends up with Pittodrie. Lovely interchange. And Can Uzun finding Pittodrie for his 2nd goal of the game. Another assist for Can Uzun. And another 3-0 victory for Aberdeen over St Johnstone. So like I say, Can Uzun is certainly finding his form at the moment and getting the recognition from the media as such. And yeah, I thought I'd show you the league table at this point, and we are actually 2nd, with a game in hand at least, over Rangers, but we are 3 points behind them. Actually an identical record, obviously, other than the amount played and the amount won, so if we win our next game, we will be completely identical. And we have won 5 games in a row, and like I say, 3 games against St Johnstone in a row, all with wins, and 3 clean sheets as well. And this is certainly not the news you would like to read about one of your youngsters. Frank Pelage has torn his ACL and he's going to be out for 5 to 7 months. So that is pretty much his season done. And that is certainly a shame after you saw that he is getting decent amount of game time at the moment. So next up we play Livingston, and I'm not going to show you all of the goals in this one, but I will show you the first one, which Can Uzun does get onto the end of a Hernandez cross to make it 1-0. Owen Eldin did have a goal ruled out for offside in the 68th minute, and Jay Robinson scored to make it 2-0 in the 72nd. And then Marinowicz wraps it up in the 87th as we make it 4-0. And just like the last one, we're not going to show all the goals here as we play Motherwell, But we will show the first in the 6th minute. Lovely flick on there from Caicedo to find Semi to put it in the back of the net and make it 1-0. Can scored a penalty in the 28th minute and then scored another in the 51st. And then Hernandez in this 54th minute shoots across goal to make it 4-0 before Funk added another in the 69th minute as we go on to beat Motherwell 5-0. So Classy Can on form for Aberdeen. You can see from that form table he is certainly getting better and better and proving why I spent all that money on him in the summer. Eric Adam, not too happy about not having enough game time at the moment, so we did promise him we'll give him some more game time, but you'll have to wait for the next episode to see that. But before we go, I thought I'd show you the recent run of fixtures, and we have now won 7 in a row. And yeah, that Man City one, obviously the standout game in that fixture list, and we'll be looking forward to extending that in the next episode. So, the tactical tweaks we've made are really starting to pay off. We've now won 7 matches in a row, and while that doesn't sound like a huge number, that does include a huge win against Manchester City in the Champions League. We are currently sitting in 4th place of the Champions League phase, which is a huge improvement on previous seasons. Domestically, we are sitting in 2nd place behind Rangers, but with a game in hand. And after beating St Johnstone in the League Cup final, we have already brought home silverware for this season. It's also great to see Can Uzun really starting to shine after we broke our own transfer record to sign him in the summer. These last few performances are exactly what I expected to see, and I'm sure there is plenty more to come. The January transfer window is open in the next episode, and we look to strengthen again to keep building towards our final goal of emulating Sir Alex Ferguson and winning the Champions League with Aberdeen. But that is going to do it for this one, and if you've enjoyed it, do me a favour, hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.